It's there.
What is sound? Sounds are mechanical waves that travel through matter. All sounds are created by vibrations, which are back and forth movements of an object. And all sounds travel by waves. Waves are disturbances that burst out energy into space or matter. So how exactly do we hear sound? Well, waves travel from all directions from the source, then they move around and then hit our ears, which causes our ears to vibrate, thus letting us hear sound. Frequency is the number of waves made in a certain period of time. Humans can't hear all frequencies. For example, some animals, like these, can hear higher frequencies than humans can. Pitch is how high or low a sound is according to our ears. Amplitude is how tall the waves can be from the point of stillness. Amplitude can also affect how loud something is. The higher the amplitude, the louder the noise! And the softer the amplitude, the softer the noise. So now that you know the basics about sound, let's apply them in terms of music. Almost 10 centuries ago, plucked instruments were invented in Central Asia and India. Since the time, many countries have made their own version of this instrument. Eventually, the guitar was formed, and it is still very popular in all cultures today. So today I'm going to play you an acoustic guitar. The strings are made of nylon and nylon fiber. It makes it really easy for plucking and vibrating. The inside of a guitar is hollow because if we pluck the strings just alone, they would actually sound really quiet. So the hollow gives something for the sound waves to ride on. So when I pluck, the sound waves get to ride all around the guitar and the sound is amplified. This hole right here is actually called a sound box, and it really helps the quality of the sound. So when I pluck the strings, good clear sound travels to your ears. Notes on a guitar are also really important. There are 7 notes in music: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. We can play a high E and a low E on the guitar. They're the same note, but just have different pitch. When I pluck both strings at the same time, which one lasts the longest? The lower string, right? That's because the lower string is thicker than the higher string. So when I pluck it and send vibrations through it, the lower string gives off longer wavelength and it has less frequency than the higher string. The higher string has shorter wavelength and higher frequency, so that's why it lasts shorter than the lower string. So you can see that pitch has a really big effect on how long a note lasts. Signs of a modern piano were in 1725, where in Germany the piano was being formed and perfected. Unlike today, there were only 3 or 4 octaves, but now there are 7 or more octaves, and the piano continues to spin a tale of great sound. The piano is actually just like a guitar. It relies on strings and vibrations to make noise. I hit a key, which makes a hammer hit the string, which vibrates the string, sending up sound. The piano has many differently tuned strings inside it already, so all we have to do is hit a key to make a certain pitch. And just like a guitar, the strings plucked alone would sound very quiet and not very dynamic. That's why the piano has something called a soundboard. It collects all the vibrations and lets them out loud and clear, like this. you might be thinking, well, we can control how long a string vibrates. How? If we hold a key longer, a longer sound escapes. If we press harder, the sound gets louder. That's because the strings have dampers on them. A damper allows the sound to stop when we let go of the key. You might also wonder how I got all the piano sounds to overlap and make it sound magical. Well, I use a foot pedal. Mine is specifically a damper pedal, and what it does is it takes all the dampers off the strings and lets the strings keep on vibrating even after I took my finger off the keys. Just listen to the difference. I can even play the same song using two different scales, and they both will still sound similar. That's the power of the notes! Here's a cool thing to think about. Where you are can affect how you sound. Check it out. I'm strumming here in the bathroom. And I can hear myself pretty well, right? That's because the bathroom has tile and really good acoustics. There's 3 different ways a sound reacts when it goes through a new medium. It reflects, absorbs, or it transmits. When we make sound, the air transmits the sound until the sound reaches the tiles. Then the tiles absorb the sound, eliminating any echoes. In a place like the gym, the walls reflect a lot of sound, creating echoes. That's why we sound so good singing in the shower, and that's also why orchestra and band sound so bad playing in the gym. Noise and music are like day and night. They're 2 different opposites. Some people would even say that some types of music is just a bunch of noise. But that's a matter of opinion. In the real world, sound quality affects noise and music, and that's what makes the difference between them. In music, sound qualities differ from instrument to instrument. Instruments can play the same notes, but they'll sound different because the vibrations are let out differently for each instrument. Sound qualities are when several pitches are blended together. Noise can be described as any sound that's undesired, or just a random mix of pitches. Unlike music, noise doesn't really have a repeating pattern of pitches or anything of the sort. The waves that are created by noise are erratic. This would be considered an undesirable noise! But something like this, maybe not as much. That's probably because the noise isn't as loud or as annoying. This is music because, unlike the cereal box, the sound waves are constant and repeating.